Why? Why did you not just tell me to turn left? Okay. Powered by Gemini. Let me guess, right? We're letting Gemini pick your directions now. There is a V6 Camaro coming up on my 6. Also, it's a new one. It looks like shit. We've already had this discussion. Dude, I am in a brick. What do you want me to do? I can't brake harder. What the fuck? I'm sorry, did anybody else see that? That actually just about scared the shit out of me. Fuck you. Ooh. What is that? What is that? I mean, it's a tank, of course, but what kind of tank? Is that fucking Olaf? How did I miss him the first time? There it is again. You get a second chance to identify it. Ow. Fuck's sakes, Mississippi. For real, I'm gonna be honest, I am so sick of the South. It's really, really, really starting to get to me. I don't want to try to piss off people, but it's just fucking undeniable. This place, everywhere you look, is just so fucking trashy. Places are treated like shit. There's litter everywhere. People are tearing everything apart. People are just dumping garbage everywhere. Nobody takes care of anything. Not even the state takes care of anything. Like, it has its moments, but for the most part, it just feels like you're dragging your balls through glass just trying to get to this fucking state. Ouch. Yeah, I knew that was coming. You know, it's always funny, though. You can stay down here for long enough, and then you hear people say, oh, the South will rise again. How? How the fuck is the South gonna rise again? Everywhere I look, this whole place is falling the fuck apart. You lost once. Take your L and go home. I'm gonna stop and get me some teas. For the road. Some Brisks, which I've discovered has now eclipsed my Arizona green teas because they're bigger and the same price.
Take the next left onto Highway 32 West.
Ma'am, I haven't even started driving yet. Calm down. You know, I'm sure there's a ton of you guys from the South that might be watching this that totally mean well and are nice people and are just along for the ride. I'm sorry, I have to get it out of my system. It's rough here, dude. God is still on the throne. Well, tell him to shit or get off the pot. Why not just say God is king or God is still king or whatnot? That just doesn't sound right. Brisk. Can we get a Brisk sponsorship? Arizona tea is cool and all, but Brisk? Get like twice the amount of tea as an Arizona green tea at the same cost. At least a Dollar General it's that cost. Oh, that was a fluffy cow. I want to turn around and pet him. When I worked for the utility company, something I had to do a lot was utility tracking. So when you like called 811 to say, hey, I want to dig here, I would come out and I'd track electric and gas for the power company. And there was one time where some guys were wanting to dig a bigger pond, a water pond for their cattle, and he had dug there multiple times. And because of that, they had hit the line so many times and it had been patched so many times that I could not locate it. It was, every time you have to patch a line, you'll lose a little bit of the signal to it. And I mean, these guys have probably hit it 10, 15 times, but they wouldn't run it anywhere else because, you know, that would take effort. So I set up on one of the pedestals that were in the pasture with the cows. And I was getting a good signal, getting a good signal, getting a good signal, and then it just cut out. And I was like, all right, so this is where they hit it. And then I turn around, and there were calves eating the wires that I had connected to the pedestal to locate the fucking line. And I had to call my boss and be like, hey, I need to pause the ticket I'm working on and run into town and patch these wires because cows just ate my lines. Yeah, that was an awkward phone call. I don't miss that job. Like, it was an easy enough job, but there was so much drama and bullshit with it that should have not been included in a job like that. And that goes for everywhere. Fuck, when I was welding, you would have thought that that place was full of teenage girls. I mean, just the biggest pussies you ever fucking met. So goddamn dramatic. Everybody's got something to prove. Everybody's got something to show off. Everybody's got a point to make. Everybody's got to be the tough guy. You know, that shit just about got me killed. So I don't appreciate it. I don't know if I ever made a video about the angle iron story. I know I've talked about it on stream a few times, but I don't think I've ever talked about it on video. And I have it in the toolbox. Like I said, I won't give that thing up. That thing just about killed me. I was working at a place called Marathon in Vernon, Alabama. And that place it was a shit show. It probably still is a shit show because it somehow remains operating. To this day, I don't know how. They were so far behind, they're rushing everything, they're working double overtime, working weekends. I mean, it was just non-fucking stop. Everybody's in a rush, everybody's cutting corners, and there was a bunch of shit that was left out in the craneway where the forklifts would drive, and someone had cut off a piece of angle iron to wrap around this compactor. Put some, there's a word for it, but I'm just going to call it edging. Basically, they take that angle iron, they attach it, and they make a lip out of it for the opening of the compactor. They had cut it off and just tossed it off to the side. Well, here I was trying to fucking hold this piece up in place so I could tack it and hammer it in so that way I can get it straight and then weld it. And something hit me in the head so fucking hard, it was lights out. I was fucking gone. And I woke up, I mean, I was bleeding, I was dazed, my fucking face hurt something fierce. Everybody was staring at me, kind of one fucking manager was sitting there with his jaw wide open, like, holy shit. And that piece of angle iron had gotten stuck under one of the wheels of the forklift. Now, forklift wheels are typically filled with foam. They're very, very bouncy. Kind of same thing that you would put on a skidster. But because of that, when they run over something, they can put a lot of pressure on that. And forklifts are heavy. They have a giant cast iron weight on the back of them, just for counterweight. So it pressed down on that piece of angle iron, and it fucking launched it. And it hit me square in the side of the head. But when I picked up that piece of angle iron, it had one spot that was a factory cut, and then another spot that had been cut at a 45 degree with an angle grinder. And so I'm confident if that thing had hit me in any other fashion, hit me on like a couple of degrees, rotated one direction or the other, it would have fucking smoked me. But then I didn't learn my lesson, and I went to go work for another place, and then I asked for a raise from that place. I think some of the people from the main channel are more familiar with this story. I asked for a raise after working there for a decent while because I wanted the engineer position, but then they hired the mayor's son to take that engineer's position instead. But I've been working in refurb, remanufacturing giant engine stands for Caterpillar, for like their dump trucks and heavy excavators and such like that. And so I was just like, hey, you know, I got bills to pay, I got stuff I got to get caught up on, can I get a raise? I'm like, well, we'll talk about it. You know, come back here and meet us here in a little bit. And so I go back, and of course the boss doesn't want to meet with me. I have to go meet with HR because, you know, God forbid it's ever just an A to B conversation. There's always got to be a middleman, or in this case a middle woman. And I was like, well, you know, I've been here for, you know, about 7 months, but I think I've proved my worth. You know, I've got certificates, I've got the ethic, and I've got the labor to back up. I've got people that say I'm good. I've got managers that say I'm good. You know, and I prove I've got the skill to do everything. I can machine, you know, I can weld, I have forklift certifications, I can run CAD, you know, run SolidWorks, which is what they used. And I shit you not, she looked at me and she said, okay, well, this is the best I can do for you. She turns around and snatches this paper off the printer and turns around back to me and hands it to me. That paper was a pre-filled out, fill-in-the-blank resignation letter. You put your name and you put the date you want to quit. Basically, what I was told is you will deal with it or you can leave. Now, I would have taken a no. I would have taken a reasonable, like, hey, no, we can't, you know, give you a raise right now, but come back to us here in a few months. But to tell you this is the way we do shit. Not even getting that answer, basically just being told, fuck you, you can quit. Stuck with me like a thorn. I took that piece of paper with me and I went to every person in the fucking shop and I got their signature. Everyone. Every single person. And I brought it back to them. All right, I signed it, but this is who's going with me. Of course, it wasn't a good enough threat. They kind of understood my threat and he just kind of took it and didn't really do anything with it. But then they moved some dickwad over to my spot where I worked. So it's like, well, at the very least, we could give you some help. You know, after I've been asking for help forever. And this motherfucker, this fucking family wreath looking son of a bitch, spit tobacco juice all over my tools, all over my welder, spit it on the floor where I was working, all over the fucking metal that I was working with. Wouldn't do a goddamn thing. And so I said, you know what? I get it. So I packed up all my shit and I quit. And that's why I just stopped welding. All of my jobs seem to end in some bullshit way. Like I can't just have a normal, yep, I think I'm just bored of this job. I'll see you guys later. I put in my 2 weeks notice at that utility company to move down south to, you know, get a job in welding and fabrication, because that's what I wanted to get into. And I went and did a job where they had split a large property into 2 properties. He had subdivided it into 2 properties. But on the maps that I had gotten, and they were the most up-to-date maps, and the utility company was not aware that this had happened, it still showed only 1 company, or it showed only 1 address. So things got a little bit confusing with the map, and so I just kind of worked with what I had. And it made sense to me, all right, well, this is the house that needs to be located. I didn't know that there were 2 different properties. I thought they were 1 big property. I think the thing that got lost in translation is he had said locate the left property, and then the note said locate the left side of the property, and so things just got a little bit confusing. So anyways, I located the property as I understood it per the instructions. Then flash forward about, I want to say a week later, literally 3 days before I was set to quit. Actually, no, I think this was literally my last day, actually, now that I think about it. And I get a call for an emergency hit. And sure enough, it was that location. It was that location with the confusing instructions that there was a fuck up on the map, you know, yada, yada, yada. All the excuses in the world. I get there, and you got 2 dumbasses. They're just staring into this hole with this gas line, just fucking hissing out, pissing gas everywhere. You could smell it as soon as he showed up. I told him, go shut your fucking truck off. One of them was about to light a cigarette because, you know, they're fucking idiots. I was like, all right, who's the guy that called? Right? Who do I need to talk to? Who's the guy leading the project? Oh, he left. The fuck you mean he left? Why would he leave? He hit a gas line. He needs to be here to talk to me. I was like, all right, who called the fire department? Oh. I was like, you gotta be fucking kidding me. I'm dealing with retards. Nobody had called the fire department. The guy that hit the gas line had left. Okay, nobody would do what they were doing. One dude was about to light a cigarette. Okay, and I shit you not, where they got hit? Middle school. Right across the street. So I call the fire department, they come out. Luckily this gas line was one of those lines that if it detects a massive drop in pressure, it'll shut off at the node. It hurt my fucking brain. And so even after I had quit, I couldn't actually officially quit because then I was under investigation for this line hit. And then I had to spend like the next, oh God, I don't know, 2 weeks on the phone back and forth with the utility company, with the contractor, with my boss, with my boss's boss, and it was just such a fucking shit show. And I was cleared of any wrongdoing because the instructions were all messed up. I think they ended up blaming the dispatch for the unclear instructions, but still, I mean, it was such a fucking disaster. But anyways, home. this is home for the next 2 weeks, I guess.